You have got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. So, oh man, already this is starting off bad. And now it just got really bad. Breaking news. According to Joe Person, Matt Corral has suffered a Lisfranc injury in his foot. The same type of injury that happened to Cam Newton 2 seasons ago. Dang it! Sure enough, it was only a matter of time with the lack of our depth at O-line that this would happen. And despite P.J. Walker eating 4 sacks and Matt Corral eating 1 sack, he still got hit, not to mention his own end zone. And then all of a sudden, the same play that Deontay Brown got bulldozed over, which he'd been getting bulldozed over repeatedly. And now look at what's happened. Jeff R. said it best, unbelievable. And what is Lisfranc injury? This is most likely a season ender, unless we some way, somehow make it to the playoffs. And not one time did Coach Matt Rule ever take the chance of putting Matt Corral in with the ones. Lacking at the depth we have in O-line, we need to be praying that none of our starters get hurt, because if any of our starters get hurt, especially on the O-line, we are in freaking trouble. We're in trouble. If any of our starters get hurt, we're in freaking trouble. I'm sorry, but the whole it's just preseason, that's out the window now. I'm sorry, but that's out the window. That's out the window. I don't know how anybody else feels, but the whole, it's just preseason, that's out the window now. But yeah, Jeff R., Tito Z, good to see you. I had a feeling this would happen. Only Rule will play the franchise future quarterback with the 3rd and 4th string offensive line. And still, no reps, no in-game reps for Sam and Baker. And now I'm hearing two different words of, us going with Baker Mayfield, and then I'm hearing another word that Matt Rule is still not sure. And if that is the case, that Matt Rule is still not sure, I'm sorry, but that right there is enough evidence he got to go. If that is the case, he got to go. Because I'm sorry, he don't know what the heck he's doing. But apparently, wants to go ahead and throw Ike Ekwonu in, and he be the guy. He be the starting left tackle. Tito Z says, to be honest, Matt was not going to see the field anyway. That's not the right way to look at it, though. Like, this is potentially our future guy. He had the opportunity to get reps. We can't look at it that way, especially considering how, with just him being out there and him not having the opportunity to really, make a lot of plays because he doesn't have the protection, that's not really a good way to look at it. He's still our third round pick. We went in on him. So, I mean, the thing is, heaven forbid anything happens to any of the starters, then what? Because, I mean, we already just saw how PJ Walker did. And folks already don't like Sam Darnold. So, I mean, that's why I'm saying we better hope and pray that nothing happens to our starters. Because if something does, we in trouble. We're lacking depth at the O-line, especially looking at how, at how the production has been with the 2s and the 3s. And we're already lacking on the D-line with depth and can't get a consistent pass rush. So, I mean, fact of the matter is the way things were set up initially was bad. Because, I'm sorry, giving one quarterback the first and third quarter, and then giving the other one the second and fourth quarter makes no sense. You got to try to keep somebody in rhythm. And when you split it up that way, that can easily derail that. We're already looking thin at tight end. We were starting to look thin a little bit at cornerback. But then, we see our depth pieces out there and, they're not doing too good. That's an issue. I mean, I get what you mean. But, I'm sure none of us thought that Matt Corral was going to get hurt. But now look what happened. Lisfranc injury. Season ending. So, I mean, that's the only thing. I know this is preseason, but, that's why I throw that out the window when stuff like that happens. And the thing is, I don't even know if it's the same foot that he injured in college. Can anybody confirm if that's the same foot? Because, this one hurts. This one definitely hurts. I mean, he was our third round pick. He was our prospect. Because right now, there's no telling how Baker Mayfield or we know how Sam Darnold does, just from last year. But the thing is, heaven forbid Baker goes down, it gets really, really crazy. Because the thing is, going into the season, most likely, probably 99.9% that we're not keeping 4 quarterbacks. Now, when we look at it, we might need to keep PJ. We might need to keep PJ. So, as insurance, we might need to consider keeping PJ. And the thing is, unless Baker Mayfield really blows up, which would warrant an extension, which I have no problem with, then Matt Corral would be the guy. Because it's already safe to say Sam Darnold's gone after the season. I think everybody can pretty much agree with that. That Sammy D will be gone after this season. With Baker Mayfield, it really is going to come down to his play. And then again, if Matt Rule is gone, then that's going to open up another can of worms. Because, new coach is going to more than likely go with a new quarterback or his quarterback. You know what I mean? So there's that. Tito Z says, really can't blame that on the 2s and 3s because it could have happened anytime. Injuries will happen as part of the game. Okay, you do also have to remember that protection broke down multiple plays in a row where the quarterback got hit multiple times in a row. It happened to PJ. It happened to Matt Corral. That's on the O-line. When you have Deontay Brown getting bull rushed once by a safety, or was that Iquanu? But he kept getting bull rushed. Now, he's supposed to be like a 330, 340 pounder, and he's getting bull rushed repeatedly, toppled over. Yeah, that's not good. Iquanu is not showing up in pass protection. And folks are getting to him. Not just one play and then like a couple of plays later. We're talking about consistent breakdown, which are leading to sacks one after the other. That's not good. Yeah, injuries happen, but at the same time, good execution can also prevent that as well. After all, how did Matt Corral get hurt? He got hit. And in a pretty bad way, too. This is a big blow to the team. This is a big blow to the team. Maybe right now it might be hard to really see that. But at the same time, we have to look at it for what it is. That's one of our draft picks and not only that, you have to also remember the amount of time that he's gotten to really get some in-game reps. Because remember, the last game, he only completed one pass. Only one. He was 1 of 9. And then in this game, I think he completed 6? So it's like, one, we all knew that there was some expectation to see a good amount of Matt Corral in these preseason games. Because, yes, we all are under the understanding that, he would most likely not play during the season. And that's fine. But at the same time, we have to keep in mind, we don't know how Baker Mayfield's going to do. He may not do enough to warrant an extension. We're not keeping Sam Darnold after this season. So, depending on how this foot heals, which, I'm not saying he can't come back. I mean, Cam Newton did, so Matt Corral definitely has the opportunity to. But it's a really big blow especially going into your first NFL season, especially mentally. And my thing is just, I'm not really seeing any like synchronicity with the O-line so far. I say so far because that can always change. But it's one of the reasons why I am concerned going into the regular season. Because Baker Mayfield, we got some better chances with Baker Mayfield versus Sam Darnold. But if he can't be consistently protected, I mean, if the protection can be there for the run game, which is good. I expect us to run the ball. But what if it gets into the case of we're down or it's a shootout? Can't just solely run the ball, especially if we're down like at least two touchdowns. So I think the run blocking is fine for the most part, but I'm really concerned with the pass protection. Really concerned with the pass protection. So that was the only thing with that. And yeah, Tito Z, we did take a blow from losing J.C. Horn last season. At the same time, when it came down to it, the defense overall performed better than the offense. Well, for obvious reasons, because, the defense was out there on the field all the time because the offense couldn't capitalize. But fact of the matter is, that time it wasn't good. This time it's not good either. Both are just as bad. And, with this being a quarterback, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. That, shutdown cornerbacks are, good. And I believe J.C. Horn will get there. But we are talking potentially our future franchise quarterback in Matt Corral. Because I'm not saying he can't come back from this foot injury, but it's not going to be a walk in the park, especially if it's anything similar to, Cam Newton's foot injury. I think about Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen wasn't the same. He wasn't able to bounce back. There's no guarantee Matt Corral will be able to bounce back. So these things are tough. And even J.C. Horn's been dealing with some soreness in that foot. Hopefully, he'll overcome it, but I can imagine that it's lingering still. And Jeff R is right. Yeah. That the difference is quarterback's extremely hard to find, and Cam was never the same after that injury. And he's right. He's right. Shoot, we couldn't even get the 2018 Cam. We didn't even get that Cam. So it's just tough. It's really, really tough. And I got a bad feeling, y'all. Because it's like we're dealing with that, the lack of depth, plus our coach's decision-making, Matt Rule's decision-making. Those are two big negatives. Two big negatives. So no doubt. PJ is not working out well, so no PJ, no Matt, then who shall be the number 3? Honestly, they might want to consider keeping PJ. I know it's hard, but they might want to rescind that and consider keeping him for the sake of having 3 quarterbacks. I don't know who else would be available to really jump on, but for the sake of keeping Matt Corral, put him on IR, of course. But, I mean, I guess they could roll with 2 quarterbacks. I don't know. What do y'all think? Do y'all think they should roll with 2 or 3 and just bite the bullet and keep PJ? What do y'all think about that? Do y'all think they should bite the bullet and keep PJ or still cut him and just go with 2 quarterbacks? I would love to get y'all's thoughts on that. But this is tough. But dang, man. Lisfranc injury. Dang. Jeff R says, got to keep PJ now. And I agree with Jeff R. In all honesty, I agree. I think we, despite his recent performance, I think we definitely, we should keep PJ. Paul Mancini, what's up? What's up? Let's see. What'd you have here? I think it's good news, actually, as they can use the roster spot for a player who can actually contribute in 2022. Can you elaborate a little more on that, Paul? Just, I don't completely follow, but can you elaborate just a little more? Jeff R says, Sam Darnold never played a full season his entire career. And that is true. Even when he was with the Jets, he did not play a full season. Because I remember one of those seasons he had mono. And then I don't remember what he had the other seasons. But I remember one season he had mono and had to miss like a few games or something like that. But that is true. But got one more game against the Bills this coming Friday. Tito Z says, keep PJ. I just feel PJ arm and conditioning was not up to par. I think he has the arm. I just feel like his decision making needs work. So, okay, Paul says, here, what do you say? Here, let me go back. Paul says, Corral is not ready and needs a redshirt season. And now with this injury, this allows him to sit and learn and watch. Here's the thing. That's under the assumption that he'll be able to bounce back from this Lisfranc injury. That's the only thing with this Lisfranc injury. It's not going to be a gimme to easily come back from. So, as Jeff R. emphasized, Cam Newton wasn't the same after coming back from his. And then we saw what happened with Greg Olsen. Those foot injuries, especially lingering. And Matt Corral, he's got some mobility, but how will this affect it? Because there's no telling. Anybody know what's the recovery period for a Lisfranc injury? Like, to the point where it's like, I get that it's going to cost the season, but I can't imagine what the recovery would be like for that. Tito Z says, the more he threw, the less accurate he was. Gotcha. Jeff R says, all the starters will be playing next week against the Bills. Will be interesting. Yeah, I mean, last game of the preseason, definitely got to get one final look. Paul says, Corral, even on the 53-man roster, would have been inactive most games with taking a roster spot in the process. He isn't ready and has looked overmatched since day one, to be honest. The only thing with that is I personally didn't expect him to just only complete one pass that first game. I don't think anybody expected that. And then, the way that Matt Rule had it set up with this game yesterday, having him play the second and fourth quarters instead of just having him play a half and having PJ play a half, that can, stop momentum. Not only that, really would have been good to see Corral play with the twos and a little bit of the ones, personally. So, a year full recovery. Lisfranc, 10 to 12 weeks. So, long recovery. And I don't know. And the only reason why I'm emphasizing this, like, we can't look at it as he wasn't going to play anyway. We can't look at it like that. This was our third round pick who potentially the organization banks on being the franchise quarterback. And with this type of injury, this could potentially be a big setback. This could be a big setback, y'all. That's why I'm more concerned now for Matt Corral. Because there's no telling if he'll be able to come back from this. There's no telling. Look at what happened to Cam. So yeah, I'm very concerned. And especially if our O-line, and this is for the starters as well, which I hope the starters can really get some chemistry and really excel. Because if the starters, if they falter, and then Baker Mayfield could be hurt. And we also have to remember, also keep in mind, look at how many quarterbacks we've gone through in like the last 3 or so years. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Yeah, and I agree with Jeff R. Like, it's not really a positive situation. It's pretty bad. See, after 10 to 12 weeks, it's a couple of months of rehab. Tito Z broke his big toe in 2018, and that still have issues. Ooh, yikes. Paul says, I still don't know where fans would think Corral was a potential franchise quarterback. He's a good couple of years away from competing as a starter. Well, we drafted him for a reason. And here's the thing, Paul. If Baker Mayfield stinks it up, we're not keeping him. And we already know we're not keeping Sam Darnold. So who would be next up? Matt Corral. So he got drafted for a reason. And like I said, if Baker Mayfield does well, balls out, gets that extension, then you know what? We got our franchise quarterback in Baker Mayfield. No doubt. If he performs, he deserves to stay. But if he stinks it up, then yikes. If he stinks it up, then ugh. Corral injured that foot when he scrambled to his right and tackled from behind, and his foot got caught under him. He should not have come back into the game, which probably made it worse. Yeah, I think he played one more snap after that. And then just look at how bad that they did, like, when they were pinned deep. Whether it was Corral there, whether it was PJ there, just O-line broke down, pocket collapsed, and just, like I said, Deontay Brown, he's probably not going to make it. Austin Pleasant's probably not going to make it. If anything, Cade Mays did a little something for the future of this franchise at quarterback. I mean, keeping Sam, the fifth-year option, going out and getting a Baker Mayfield, and then drafting Matt Corral, then getting Baker Mayfield. It's like we're playing a guess. Well, not really playing a guessing game, but it's like we're gambling, you know? If Baker's a one-year rental, then the Panthers will address quarterback with their top pick next draft. And that's the thing. We would have to go into the next draft and pick up another quarterback. Like, ugh. When we're getting quarterbacks back to back in drafts, that's got to say something. That's got to say something. But yeah, this is bad, y'all. This is really bad. And like I said, it just ultimately sounds like we're going to continuously be desperate for a quarterback. And it's not a good look. There'll be 5 to 6 quarterbacks in. Okay, sorry about that. All right, we still here? Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Let me see. Let's get caught up. Tito Z also said didn't want Baker, but he looks good in the preseason. And I still think only a 5, maybe 6 win season. What do you think? I originally predicted 9, but I don't know. I really don't know. I originally predicted 9, but I really don't know. Jeff R says, SMH, that means we would have another quarterback every year since Rule took over. That's sad. Exactly. That would have been that. It's not a good look. Quarterback here, quarterback there. Like, we've had so many quarterbacks in these past few seasons. It just makes it seem like we're desperate. We're extremely desperate. Hey, Nathan John. Best thing for him, he's looked horrible. Time to learn. Come back better next year. But it's not really the best. Injury is never a best thing for somebody, especially for that. I mean, yeah, I understand he was most likely not going to get any playing time for the season, but to come in the second game of your career and suffer a Lisfranc, that's not good, like, for anybody. Like, an injury is an injury. And we can't assume that he's going to be able to come back. We can't assume that he's going to be able to come back and be able to continue like nothing. Ja Rule. We are desperate. We are, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. You will never build that like that. QB needs consistency. Facts. We are extremely desperate. And I know that Matt Rule's trying to save his job, but it's like, and then again, Matt Rule's just not a good coach. I don't know, like I said, playoffs or bust. Playoffs would really increase his chances, but playoffs or bust. Can't keep getting new quarterbacks. Yeah. I mean, we're going to have to, that's why a big hope is maybe Baker Mayfield will ball out, and then that'll warrant us keeping him, which that's fine with me. But if not, then we're going to get another quarterback, because we're not keeping Sam Darnold, and we're most likely not keeping PJ. So that's going to be another first round draft pick, and we have to go get another quarterback. It's like, dang, DJ Moore can't even get a consistent quarterback. Shoot, DJ Moore going to be on this squad for the next couple of years, and it's going to be a different quarterback every year. That's sad. That's sad. Tito Z says, looking forward to the last preseason game. Should the ones start or sit? I think you got to give the ones some playing time. With this being their last preseason game, I think they got to get a little bit of time in this last preseason game. Paul says, if Baker plays well, then give him an extension. Agreed. If he doesn't, then they move on. Corral is not the future answer, regardless of this injury. But that's the thing, like, Paul. But how can we say that if they drafted him? They traded up to get him. They traded to get him. That's all I'm saying. Like, they traded up to get him. I mean, that's my big thing. And I just and the thing is, once again, this makes it even harder. I mean, you can't really say, how can we really say, even without the injury, that that's what the case will be? Judging from just, barely any playing time in the preseason. I just think we're jumping to that conclusion too fast. And the thing is, this injury makes it even worse for him. But even before the injury, there's a reason why he was drafted. Can't have good quarterback play until the O-line play is consistent and good. And that plays a big part into it. That plays a big part. And the scary thing is, I hope that doesn't go into the ones, or the fact that I hope that the ones can stay healthy and not get injured. Because if they do, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. So that's how I look at it. Is it time to bring Cam back again? Nah, because he hasn't had an off season. Nah, I think the door's been closed on Cam. Yeah, I think the door has been closed on Cam. I mean, shoot, the Browns didn't try to get him. Seattle didn't try to get him. Yeah, I think the door has been closed on Cam. As much as I hate to say it, I think the door is closed on Cam. But, oh, man. Starters play 10 to 12 snaps, 1 to 2 drives. Well, here's the thing now. How do we split up the reps? Because if no Matt Corral, I mean, what are they going to do? Play PJ for like the entire second half of the game, or maybe, 3 quarters? Because he's pretty much going to be the main one then, unless they plan on splitting reps between Baker and Darnold, perhaps in the first 2 quarters. So, I don't know. I really don't know. That's an interesting point. Tito Z says, how about Colin Kaepernick? A lot of rust in that arm. Nah. Being that he hasn't played in any system in like 6 or 7 years, nah. If he had full OTAs in training camp, possibly, but he hasn't had any of that. I know he's had a few tryouts, but nah. That's another one. I mean, both are just as risky, Cam and Colin Kaepernick. Probably a little less risk with Cam than with Cap, but yeah, I just think the door has been closed on Cam, and Colin Kaepernick, who hasn't played in so long, just too big of a risk. So, but yeah, with this happening to Matt Corral, you put him on IR, and like I said, they may want to keep PJ and have 3 quarterbacks. And it'll be Baker at the 1, Darnold at the 2, PJ at the 3. I don't know how they're going to split the playing time with this final preseason game, but I'm worried about the depth at offensive line, and I'm worried about the depth at defensive line. Because like I said, right now, Ike Ekwonu, while he, shines more in the run blocking, he even had a pancake, but pass protection, he is struggling. Now, hopefully he's able to pick up and work on his mistakes, the sooner the better. But this might end up being one of those that just, it's going to take a good amount of time before he really yeah. He might end up getting good gradually, but just not as quick as we hope for. And it's kind of a bummer because he's our first round pick. Well, on Tuesday we can do what quarterbacks fall from the trees. Maybe. Paul says Baker plays 1 to 2 series. Darnold plays the rest of the first half, with PJ playing the entire second half. That actually makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Shaq Thompson did get activated from the PUP list, so I don't know if he's gonna see a little bit of action this coming Friday. But it's good to see that he's off the PUP list. Panthers may pick up a QB3 after cut downs around the NFL in 2 weeks. Well, they have to get the 53-man roster, or they have to get their roster to 53 by August 30th, which is on a Tuesday. So, I'll have to do after this third preseason game, I'll have to turn around and do a prediction video. Before the time that they announce their 53-man roster, I should do a prediction video. But yeah, just looking at the roster going forward, I think we definitely need to look at getting some help on the D-line. We need to get some help on the D-line. We have no pass rush. I mean, the 2 sacks we got in last night's game were from linebackers. Brandon Smith, Julian Stanford. Like, we need some help on the D-line. We need some help on the D-line. So, and also, Coach Matt Rule lit a fire under TMJ. He's gonna have to step up and get to it, or else Terrace Marshall Jr. about to be cut. As harsh as that sounds, he's gonna end up being cut. Paul says, I see only 2 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster, then add a young quarterback for practice squad. Now Paul has a point. They could do that. Keep Sam and Baker, Add a quarterback later, maybe after they tweak the roster. Paul says Icky is not ready to be starter at left tackle for game one. Well, according to Matt Rule, he's the starter. So, oh man. And he's got to go up against Myles Garrett and or Jadeveon Clowney, because they might flip flop. I don't think they will, but yeah, because Matt Rule's thing is getting him reps against the tough guys, and I guess learning as he falls. Yeah. Don't know how well that's going to work out for him, but we'll have to see. Shaq won't play until week one. Yeah, he'll be playing week one. But it is good to see that he's off the PUP list. He's off the PUP list, so that's really good to see. But yeah, I don't know, y'all. What receivers like Rashard Higgins shining, Shi Smith making plays, this Derek Wright been showing up. I don't know if they're going to keep Terrace Marshall Jr., to be honest with y'all. And the sad thing is he's had a good camp, but what does he have to show for it? So, I mean, I hate to admit it, but Terrace Marshall Jr., I don't think he's going to make the roster, y'all. I don't think he's going to make the roster at all. No teams cut quarterbacks after week 2, and most starters and key backups play in the final preseason game. So quarterbacks will be cut, the final cut, which makes sense. Pardon me. But yeah. But yeah, y'all, this is a big blow. Matt Corral down with a Lisfranc foot injury. Dang it. This one stings. This one really, really stings. And the thing that sucks is it's not just anybody. It's a quarterback. Not a running back. Not a wide receiver. Not a safety or whatnot. It's a quarterback. Oh, man. I'm nervous, y'all. Before, in my last video, I said it wasn't time to panic. It's not quite time to panic, but the meter is filling up. The meter is filling up. Tito Z says, I find it interesting because I want to see how we adjust and make things happen. We're going to find out, all right. Paul says, I believe TMJ does not make the roster. Look at his history at LSU. Rarely practiced and has had various lower leg injuries. Foot, ankle, calf, hammy, etc. And that's the thing. We picked him second round pick, if I remember. So, yeah. But yeah, I would have to agree with you. I don't think he's gonna make it. Don't think he's gonna make it at all. Oh man. Oh man, this hurts. This is definitely affect morale. team morale for sure. But as folks said, I mean, now Matt Corral don't have a choice but to sit. So Paul says, I'd rather have Kirkland right as that last wide receiver over TMJ, who just isn't durable enough for the NFL despite his talent. He's just not available enough to be trusted, and that's the thing that's working against him right now. Because he's shown that he can make the catches, has made, a few plays, but just, not available. Just not available. But what I'm really curious about going forward, I'm really curious about how the play calling is going to be. Because, as I've said, there's been a lot of talks that Ike Ekwonu was brought in for run blocking. And being that we have Christian McCaffrey leading the charge, that it can contribute to the success there. But then when it goes to the pass blocking, pass protection, that's where the struggles come in. So it makes me think, is Ike Ekwonu pretty much a one-notch talent, a one-dimensional talent? That's gonna make me wonder, y'all. Is he really a one-dimensional talent? Because we can't say he's not getting enough reps in these preseason games. He got a handful in the first one, and he got a lot in this second one. So he's getting the reps. But it's not translating. So I'm nervous about our O-line. Once the season starts, QB3 rarely gets any reps in practices. They usually run the scout team, and don't figure in the game plans as teams usually carry two quarterbacks on game day. So the loss of Corral is not as big as you may think. I have to respectfully disagree. Because we don't know if he'll be able to even come back. And especially with our continuous quarterback woes. We have had quarterback woes for multiple seasons. Like, as much as the Kelvin Benjamin injury sucked, that doesn't compare to this. Tito Z says, no matter what cards are dealt to us, we have to find a way to keep pounding, even though it do not look good at all. And this is true. We have to keep pounding no matter what. Because after all, week 1 hasn't started yet. We definitely can't quit. We can't give up. It's going to be difficult, y'all. It's going to be really difficult. And the thing is, there's been the training camp and the joint practices and scrimmages, but, outside of that, we haven't seen a lot of Baker Mayfield in these preseason games. So hopefully, we'll get more eyes on him in these upcoming season. This upcoming preseason game as it transitions from that to regular season. And I know some folks out there are like, well, at least Sam Darnold got us a touchdown, which is true, but we're talking about Sam Darnold here. There's little to no game planning in preseason. It's very vanilla for all 32 teams on both sides of the ball. Facts. And, you know, this is where a lot of the evaluation happens with, you know, the pieces that we have, which is why, you know, a big reason why I was excited to just be back to watching football, because I really want to see what everybody on our squad can do. And while there have been some positives, example, Amari Barno, Tay Hayes. I think Amari Barno, Tay Hayes, I think Tay Hayes is going to make the squad. I think he's going to make the squad. Sigh Smith, I think he's going to make the squad. You know, we're starting to see some folks that are emerging that can grow into something. Brandon Smith, he hits hard. He get more work and such. Brandon Smith could turn out to be a good linebacker. So that's definitely what a lot of this time is for. Tito Z says, hopefully McAdoo will use a tight end or two. That is where we have been lacking in the past year since Olsen. Yeah, that's supposedly in his play calling. Tight end sets, stuff like that. Hey, Super Treybo. Says, like I've said before, Jason, it's tough being a Panthers fan at work right now, and all I see coming in are Falcon fans everywhere while at work, and also Brown fans. It's annoying. Dang, you don't get any Panther fans coming in there? What? That sucks. Dang, that royally sucks. Paul says, Icky was known to have deficiencies in pass protection. He'll put the work in and improve, but this doesn't happen in 2 to 3 months' time. It will take a year or two to become a solid NFL left tackle, as this is normal. Here's the only thing, though, which I also heard word that Charles Cross and Evan Neal have been struggling a little bit. But here's the thing. Like, I'm under the notion that if you're drafted in the top 10, first round, I would think that it's got to come with some sort of expectation that you're going to be in a pretty decent spot to either start or be very close to it. And we went with Icky, left tackle, guard / tackle. So, I mean, if it does take 2 to 3 months or whatnot, and he's named our starting left tackle, that's not going to be good. That's not going to be good, because that's going to lead to pocket collapses, and that's going to lead to sacks, and possibly strip sacks. So, I mean, that's the only thing. The only reason why I'm emphasizing that is because he was our first round draft pick in a top 10, and he's also been given the nod to be the starting left tackle. So that's the only thing with that. Players who looked good last night: Sigh Smith, Giovanni Ricci, Sam Tecklenburg, Cade Mays, Brandon Smith, Marquise Haynes. That's right, Marquise Haynes did play, so that's a good sign. Amari Barno, cornerbacks Tolliver and Tay Hayes. Yeah, like I said, Tay Hayes I definitely can see making the roster. And that's the thing. The rookies on defense, you know, Barno, Brandon Smith, really like them. So, like I said, my main issue with the defense is D-line, just pass rush. We haven't really been able to get a solid pass rush. The run stopping has been hit or miss. More so hit, I think, in the previous game, but last night's game, So there's a lot to be worked on. There's a lot to be worked on for sure. But I just hope we get there. I really hope we get there. But I'm just not confident in Matt Rule's decision making. I'm not confident in Matt Rule's decision making. Super Trebo says, yeah, you see some Panther fans once in a while, but it's like looking for a blue moon, but they do come in from time to time. So I can't wait to move to Surfside Beach, South Carolina soon. I feel you. Tito Z says, the last 3 to 4 years we sucked on the run defense. Facts. So, oh, man. And that's why I say either Matt Rule is going to just some way, somehow just flip a switch and it's all just going to work out, or it's going to be really, really, really craptacular. So, Paul says, Evan Neal is playing right tackle for the Giants and struggling. Cross looked good in game 1, but struggled in game 2 the other night. That's right. He's with the Seahawks. Trevor Penning for the Saints is second teamer for them and really struggling. Well, I definitely saw a lot of struggling from Trevor Penning. Just even in the, like OTAs and stuff. Like, so I'm definitely glad we didn't end up going on him. I'm glad we didn't pull the trigger on him. OT and specifically left tackle is one of the most difficult positions to learn and grow into at the NFL level. Yeah, I can believe that. But I mean, it's got to start somewhere. It's definitely got to start somewhere. And for Icky, I mean, he got drafted and he's inserted into the left tackle position as potentially the starting left tackle going into week 1. So is he getting a lot of pressure put on him? Absolutely. He's getting a barrage of pressure put on him. But, I mean, we're in the big leagues now. I mean, sometimes that's what happens. Is it unfair sometimes? Yeah, of course. But, I mean, I hope he can tweak and fix and adapt, because he's going to need to. But, yeah. D. Roy was active last evening too, but I hope they pursue defensive tackle Malcolm Brown, who the Jaguars released last week. Yeah, like, I'm cool with it. We need help on that D-line. We need help on that D-line. Especially with rotation. We need help on that D-line. Super Trebo says, yeah, to be honest, Jason, I only see this season going 2 ways. Panthers Rule, get it right, 9 to 10 wins, or we do really bad. I don't see no in between. Yeah. No, that's a fair assessment. That's a fair prediction, Super Trebo, for sure. For definitely sure. But, oh man. But we got to try to, as hard as it's going to be, the only thing we can hope for is that Matt Corral starts his recovery. He can, get back to 100%, and he can give another go at it, learn some things on the sideline while he's recovering. But at the same time, if Baker Mayfield balls out this season, you got to pay him. You got to extend him. You have to extend him. If he balls out, let's hope and pray that Baker Mayfield balls out so that we can extend him. And in doing that, then it takes the foot off the lever of desperation to get a quarterback, especially in the draft. So, but, oh man. So Matt, hey, what's up, big bro? So who's the quarterback rotation next week? It hasn't been announced yet, but it's looking like probably a series or two with Baker Mayfield. Maybe Sam Darnold gets a quarter or the rest of the second half, and then probably a lot of PJ Walker. Unless they want to give Sam some extra reps. I don't know, but that's what I'm thinking. Paul says, do note that even as fans, we haven't seen Baker, C-Mac, and starters in the preseason, but their regular season opponents haven't seen them yet. So, so they don't play them too much in preseason game 3. And also, I think it was noted that we didn't go all in on our defensive play calling to like give stuff away. At least that's what I've heard. So I'm sure there's, along with us, teams aren't showing their hands, which is understandable. To a degree that is understandable. So now you have a point there, Paul. You have a point there. But I definitely may see Brandon Zylstra get a few snaps at quarterback next week. Oh wait, does he have some experience at quarterback? Doesn't he have a little bit of experience, or was that kicking? I thought it was either at quarterback or kicking, one of the two. But oh man. Does Zylstra ever play quarterback? That's wow. But I mean, it might have to come down to that. That's but we just gotta hope and pray that nobody else gets injured, or at least seriously injured, because yeah, we need as healthy of a team as can be. But yeah. But Bills game is this coming Friday, the 26th. Which I have it set to my DVR. So definitely looking forward to checking that out. But one more preseason game, and then I believe there's a break or two, and then the first regular season game is on 9/11, September 11th, at home against the Browns. And like I said, plan on doing a prediction video for the 53-man roster. Paul says Corral should be fine recovering with his Lisfranc injury. It's always worse for speed players or big men who play O-line and D-line, but as a quarterback, it is not as severe in terms of long-term issues. I don't know. Cam hadn't been the same since it happened to him. So I don't know. Cam hadn't been the same. I mean, we couldn't even get 2018 Cam before he got hurt. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I hope so. I hope and pray that he can come back and be able to produce. But, whoo, man, them foot injuries with that lingering pain that I hear about. I've never gotten a foot injury to that degree, but I hear that lingering pain ain't no joke. Zylstra played a little bit of quarterback in high school. Really? Huh. Okay. Interesting. I did not know that. Wow. Nice history lesson there. But yeah, like, I hope he'll be all right. I really do. But it'll be interesting to see what kind of adjustments that they make after setting the 53-man roster, and hopefully, like I said, defensive line help would be really good. Be really interesting to see what our final wide receiver core will look like. I don't expect anything really crazy to change with the running backs. You know, they might keep four, but I'm pretty sure they're going at least to keep CMC, Hubbard, and Deontay Foreman. But it's going to get kind of interesting on the defense, especially D-line, cornerbacks, I guess. But I do think Tay Hayes should stay. I think he deserves to stay. But, oh, man. Things are about to get really interesting now. Really, really interesting. So, but let's try our best to keep our heads up. I know it's going to be hard. I know this is derailing, but hopefully we'll be fine. Paul says, Bills lit up the Broncos today, 42-15, with their starters only playing 1 to 2 series. Ooh. I have to look to see how did Russell Wilson play? Because dang. Ownage. But Cam ran the ball a lot and was 35, 40 pounds bigger than Corral. That don't matter. That don't matter if he's bigger or smaller. Matt Corral, he's mobile as well. Foot injury. I mean, the quarterback still has has footwork. Quarterbacks still have footwork, though. You know, whether he's more so a pocket passer or a dual threat or whatnot. Not to mention he's ran RPO before. Don't underestimate foot injuries, especially a Lisfranc. It don't matter if he's sumo wrestling size or smaller. Don't underestimate those foot injuries. I know I've never had a Lisfranc before, but I've heard a lot of stories. I've had friends that have played, and then just like I said, what Cam went through. You know, I understand that Greg Olsen probably wasn't a Lisfranc, but Greg Olsen, and it's more critical for him because he was a tight end. But, you know, it's critical because of the fact he's still a quarterback. He's a quarterback. The field general, so to say, as folks like to say. He's the field general. Roll this window down. He's the field general. So yeah, it's just as bad. Them foot injuries. Foot injury, no joke. Especially, as big of a pro wrestling fan as I am, and the number of like torn ACLs to broken foot injuries. Yeah, and the way that they land and everything. Yeah, I don't underestimate foot injuries. And I'm also a Latin dancer too. No, 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 no. I don't underestimate foot injuries. Mm-mm. And quarterbacks, whether they scramble much or not, they got the footwork still. The 3-step, 5-step drops, 7-step drops. Being able to run, the pocket collapses and whatnot. Still important. Still important. So, but oh man. But I really like Baker Mayfield's attitude going about this so far. And if anything, and I wish Steve Smith was also there for regular season games as well. Having Steve Smith on commentary during the preseason has been a treat. Has been such a treat. I wish they could keep him on for regular season games. But oh man. But anyways, prayers going up for you, Matt Corral. I know this is really sucky, this being your second game in your NFL career. And, you end up with the Lisfranc foot injury. Not what folks had in mind, but, hope and pray for your recovery. But this is going to be an interesting week going into this last preseason game and then getting prepared for week 1 on September 11th. Whoo, man. Keep pounding, and let's try to stay positive as best as we can. Won't be easy, but let's try. As part of the Keep Pounding Nation, let's try our best. But anyway, that'll do it for this. I think I'm about to go home and either play some Madden or take a nap, one of the two. Because I had some delicious Thai food and I got the itis. But thank y'all so much for coming through and watching and commenting. Thank you for the likes as well. For those that catch this later, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell while you're at it. Keep pounding. Lord willing, I will see y'all in the next video for another Carolina Panthers talk brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the YouTube the Tube. I'm your host, Jason Ingram. Stay blessed. Love y'all. Catch y'all on the flip side.